Imagine a world where survival was a daily battle, where danger lurked in every shadow, and where a single spark could mean the difference between life and death. Long before cities, before writing, before history itself, there was a time when the first humans walked the earth. Who were they? Where did they come from? And what secrets of our origin still remain hidden in the darkness of time? To better understand this primordial era, let us turn our eyes to the vast plains of Africa, the cradle of humanity, where the climate varied between intense droughts and torrential rains, shaping the evolution of creatures that defied gravity by walking on two legs. This journey was not linear. It was marked by nature's trials and errors, with species emerging and disappearing in a constant cycle of adaptation. Fossils discovered in archaeological sites, such as the Rift Valley in Kenya and Ethiopia, reveal fascinating clues about how the environment influenced the development of traits like upright posture, which allowed a broader view of the horizon and the freeing of hands to manipulate objects. This opening invites us to explore not only the scientific facts, but also the human narratives behind them, imagining the daily struggles against predators like lions and hyenas and the relentless search for food and scarce resources. It is a story of resilience, where every innovation, however small it may seem, paved the way for what we are today. Chapter 1. Before Us. Our story begins millions of years ago, long before the existence of Homo sapiens. In the savannas of Africa, small creatures that walked upright, known as Australopithecus, roamed the land. They were not yet human, but they carried the spark of change. Later came Homo habilis, the handy man, who shaped the first rudimentary stone tools. Then Homo erectus, taller, stronger, and braver than ever before. They left Africa, conquering new lands and mastering the elements. These were the first explorers of our kind, but they were not yet us. To delve deeper, let us consider the Australopithecus, who lived between approximately 4 and 2 million years ago, with species like Australopithecus afarensis, famous for the fossil Lucy discovered in 1974 in Ethiopia, standing about 1 meter tall and exhibiting a mix of arboreal and terrestrial traits. Their ability to walk upright, known as bipedalism, emerged as an adaptation to climatic changes that transformed dense forests into open savannas, allowing them to cover greater distances in search of food, such as fruits, seeds, and roots, while avoiding predators. Although their brain was small, about 400, 500 cm, similar to that of a chimpanzee, this marked the beginning of the freeing of hands for more complex tasks. Transitioning to Homo habilis, who appeared about 2.8 million years ago and persisted until 1.5 million years ago in regions like Olduvai Gorge in Tanzania, this handyman is credited with the first Mode 1 stone tools, or Oldowan, which included sharp flakes for cutting meat and scraping bones. With a larger brain, around 600, 700 cm3, they demonstrated intelligence by exploiting carcasses left by predators, supplementing an omnivorous diet that included vegetables and small animals. Finally, Homo erectus, emerging 1.8 million years ago and lasting until about 300,000 years ago, marked an era of global expansion, migrating to Asia and Europe, as evidenced by fossils in Java and China. Taller, reaching up to 1.8 meters, and with brains up to 1,000 cm3, they mastered fire about 1 million years ago, using it to cook food, which improved digestion and enabled more nutritious diets, as well as offering protection from the cold in new environments. Their Acheulean tools, such as bifacial hand axes, reflected advances in planning and manual skill. Chapter 2. the rise of Homo sapiens. Then, about 300,000 years ago, something extraordinary happened. In Africa, a new species emerged, Homo sapiens, us. With larger brains, complex language, and imagination, they stood apart from every creature that came before. But survival was not guaranteed. They hunted, gathered, and lived in small groups, constantly threatened by predators, hunger, and thirst. Yet, they had something no other species possessed: the ability to dream, plan, and unite. And with this, one day they would dominate the Earth. Expanding on this rise, the oldest Homo sapiens fossils, dated to about 315,000 years ago, were found in Jebel Irhoud, Morocco, including skull fragments and stone tools, indicating a gradual transition from Homo erectus. Their brain, with an average volume of 1,300 enabled advanced cognition, including the development of symbolic language, which facilitated the communication of abstract ideas, planning coordinated hunts, and passing down knowledge across generations. Living in nomadic bands of 20-50 individuals, they relied on a hunter-gatherer economy, using tools like spears with stone tips and nets to capture prey, such as antelopes and elephants, while women and children gathered tubers, fruits, and nutritious insects. Facing challenges like prolonged droughts and competition with other hominid species, their imagination manifested in early rock art, such as cave paintings in South Africa dated to 70,000 years ago, depicting animals and geometric patterns that suggest symbolic thought and possibly spiritual rituals. Social unity was crucial. Family ties and intertribal alliances aided in resource sharing and collective defense against lions or hyenas. This capacity to dream was not mere fantasy. It involved innovation, such as the use of pigments for body decoration, indicating social status and cultural identity. Over time, out-of-Africa migrations began about 70,000 to 100,000 years ago, driven by climatic changes and the search for new territories, leading to the colonization of Eurasia and beyond, where they adapted to varied climates, from deserts to tundras. This expansion was not without risks, but the sapiens' resilience, combined with genetic adaptations like lactose tolerance in some populations, paved the way for global dominance. Chapter 3. The Life of the First Humans. The life of the first humans was harsh. Each day was a struggle to find food, water, and shelter. They crafted weapons from stone and bone, discovered ways to cook their meals, and learned to cooperate in groups to survive. Fire became their greatest ally, a source of warmth, protection, and facilities for the entire community. Around flickering flames, they shared stories, passed on knowledge, and planted the seeds of culture. These were the foundations of what would one day become civilization. Delving into the daily routine, imagine a sapiens camp 200,000 years ago. At dawn, groups set out to hunt, using traps and ambush strategies to take down mammoths or deer, while others foraged for berries, nuts, and honey, adapting seasonally to animal migrations. Tools evolved from Oldowan to Levallois, allowing thinner, more efficient blades for cutting and scraping, made from flint or obsidian found in volcanic deposits. Cooking, possibly discovered accidentally through natural fires, transformed tough foods into digestible ones, freeing energy for the brain and reducing chewing time, which allowed more hours for social activities. Shelters ranged from natural caves to temporary structures of branches and hides, insulated with leaves for protection against rain and wind. Cooperation was vital. Division of labor by gender and age fostered bonds, with elders teaching youths to identify medicinal plants or track prey. Fire, controlled for at least 400,000 years, not only cooked, but repelled insects and predators, extending nights for social interactions. Around it, oral narratives passed down creation myths, survival lessons, and genealogies, forming the basis of an oral culture that would persist for millennia. Artifacts like perforated shell necklaces, dated to 100,000 years ago in Africa, indicate artistic expression and early trade between groups, exchanging tools for rare resources. This nomadic life promoted health through varied diets, but also risks like hunting injuries or infectious diseases. Yet, the sapiens' adaptability, including innovations like the use of poisons on arrows, ensured their perpetuation, planting seeds for complex societies with hierarchies and rituals that would evolve into ancient civilizations. Chapter 4. The Great Mysteries. But our origins are still full of mysteries. We know that Homo sapiens were not alone. Other species, such as Neanderthals in Europe and Denisovans in Asia, shared the Earth with us. Did we fight them? Did we mix with them? Science reveals traces of their DNA still present in us today, and yet many questions remain unanswered. The so-called missing link. Fossils we have not yet found, secrets of humanity's birth still buried deep in the earth. Exploring these enigmas, Neanderthals, who inhabited Europe and the Middle East from 400,000 to 40,000 years ago, had brains similar to ours, with volumes up to 1/500 cm 3, and created advanced Mousterian tools, buried their dead with flowers, and possibly had symbolic art, such as cave paintings in Spain. Genetic evidence shows that sapiens and Neanderthals interbred about 50,000 to 60,000 years ago, contributing 1 to 2% of DNA to modern non-African populations, genes that influence immunity and cold adaptation. Denisovans, identified by a finger bone in a Siberian cave, lived in Asia from 200,000 to 50,000 years ago, and their DNA persists in populations like Tibetans, aiding adaptation to high altitudes. Interactions could involve conflict, such as competition for resources or cooperation, with cultural exchanges suggested by hybrid tools. The missing link refers to absent fossil transitions, such as between Australopithecus and Homo, though recent discoveries fill gaps, like Homo naledi in South Africa, dated to 250,000 years, with mixed traits that challenge linear timelines. Questions persist. Why did other species go extinct? Hypotheses include climatic changes like the last ice age, or sapiens' superiority in innovation and population. Moreover, the emergence of language and symbolic cognition remains mysterious, with debates about when the creative leap occurred, possibly 70,000 years ago during an African migration. Ongoing excavations at sites like Atapuerca in Spain reveal more, but vast unexplored areas like tropical forests hold secrets. These mysteries not only intrigue scientists, but invite us to reflect on our shared identity and the fragility of our lineage. Conclusion. From fragile beginnings to the first sparks of greatness, this was the dawn of humanity. But the journey is only beginning. In the next episode of this series, we will uncover how the invention of tools and technologies shaped our destiny. Reflecting on this narrative, we see how human evolution is a tapestry of adaptations, migrations, and innovations that brought us from the brink of extinction to the top of the food chain. Each ancestral species contributed essential pieces: the bipedalism of Australopithecus, the tools of habilis, the expansion of erectus, and the creativity of sapiens. Yet, this story continues to unfold with new genetic and archaeological discoveries that rewrite textbooks, reminding us that science is dynamic. In the next episode, we will explore how the Neolithic brought agriculture and settlements, transforming nomads into empire builders. If this story fascinated you, join us on the human journey. Subscribe now, leave a like to support our work, and don't miss the next video in humanity's epic story. The past holds many secrets, and together, we will uncover them. Share your own reflections in the comments and help spread this knowledge to inspire future generations. Big hug and see you next time.